This is 1.4 absolute value equations. Your objective is that you'll be able to solve absolute value equations. These first 7 are your warm-up for the day. Go ahead and pause this video and try these on your own. I will, however, be continuing, so pause this until you're ready. Alright, so whenever we're doing absolute value equations, absolute value is telling us the distance from 0. And so we're saying, how far is negative 2 from 0? And the answer to that, and so the answer to what is the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. And then it has this negative out here, and you can kind of imagine that the absolute signs turn into kind of a set of parentheses, if you will, and that also helps in identifying the like what order you should go in. And so this winds up being negative 2. Same thing applies to number 2. Negative 7 turns into 7 minus 7. And so we get 7. Or minus 7, so we get 0. Number 3, we do everything inside of the absolute value sign before we actually take the absolute value. In this case, we go negative 3 times 2, so we get the absolute value of negative 6. This turns into negative 6. Number 4. Again, we do everything inside of the absolute value first. So we have negative 15 divided by 5. That turns into the absolute value of negative 3. That in turn turns into positive 3. A, B, and C ask us to consider the absolute value equation, the absolute value of x plus 2 equaling 3. In the first question, it asks us to find the spot on the number line where x plus 2 equals 0. In this case, it actually winds up being negative 2. It's kind of the, and you'll see this happen several times throughout this lesson, it's kind of the opposite of what's stated in there. And so we actually wind up with negative 2, and that's where we put a point. I'm going to put the point above and actually above the number line. That way you're able to see it a little better. For part B, it says locate the points that are 3 units from the point you found in part A. What do you notice about these points? So if I go 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, this is negative 1, this is 0, this is 1. I notice, okay, I have it at 1. And if I go 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3, this is negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So whenever I look at these 2 points, and really these 2 points are the ones that we're looking at, I kind of want to identify some stuff. And a lot of times people say, well, they're both odd. That is true. One's odd and one's positive and one's negative. That also is true. But there's one that I've seen that a lot of people kind of miss about this, is if I plug these into this equation, it winds up being true. And so when I say that, I say instead of, so if I have x plus 2 equals 3, the absolute value, and instead of x, if I put in negative 5 plus 2, absolute value equals 3. I get the absolute value, negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3 equals 3. And so the absolute value of negative 3 is 3, and 3 equals 3. If we try it with the other number, x plus 2 equals 3, if instead of x I put 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, and the absolute value of 3, the absolute value of 3 is 3, and so that equals 3, and so that checks out. Part C asks us, how can you use the number line to solve an absolute value equation? The way that we can use a number line to solve an absolute value equation is if we do this step, this part that we have in A, of where we take what's inside that absolute value and set it equal to 0. We can actually find the middle point, and then from there we can go the number of units away that we need to, and so we can go 3 to the left and 3 to the right. And that concludes the warm-up. Stay tuned for the next lesson.